everyone. Please welcome our next presenter, BetterLife Pharma, Inc. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol BETRF and on the CSE under the symbol BETR, and is an emerging biotech company focused on the development and commercialization of cutting-edge treatments in mental disorders and viral infections. Please welcome its CEO, Ahmad Doroudian. Welcome, Ahmad.
Good morning. Thank you. Thanks for arranging this conference.
Good. We look forward to hearing your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for everyone for joining this conference. We're happy to present our plans and our programs to you, and I'm happy to answer any and all questions at the end of the presentation. As said, we are a biotech company involved in the development of novel psychedelics and antiviral drugs. I'll take you through the presentation. This is our disclaimer, your standard disclaimer slide. So we are, the highlights of our company, we're in two different areas, mental health and anti-infection. These are clearly a couple of the areas that are very important right now and in discussion around the world. Mental health, growing sector, exploding sector in a way, and we're involved in developing second-generation non-hallucinogenic psychedelic drugs. We are all about patient-friendly answer to mental health unmet needs. You can develop the most complicated treatments that require physicians, clinicians, monitoring therapists, to look at you, or you can have patient-friendly treatment that can actually really make a difference in lives of millions of different people, and that's what we're working on. We have our whole approach to this has been on, especially on the psychedelics and no scheduled drugs restrictions and faster developments. We don't need any laws to be changed, federal, state, or any other level for us to be able to develop our drugs and administer it to patients. On the anti-infection side, we have very novel antiviral drug treatment for potentially preventing pandemics, treating current COVID-19 and its variants. And, we think that, especially given what happened last year and still ongoing, there's going to be need for treatments in years and decades to come, so that we can have a very effective cocktail of treatments for people, so that what happened last year and a half doesn't happen again. We have a very experienced management team. We're a small group, but we experienced big pharma expertise in drug development from A to Z. And but we're small enough to be determined like a small biotech, to make sure that all our programs get advanced in the most cost-efficient, best use of capital way. Lots of public company management expertise in the team. So I'll go through. We have three drugs under development, active development right now. The first two are on the second-generation non-hallucinogenic psychedelics. First one being what we have designated as TD-0148A. This is essentially non-hallucinogenic LSD. It's for indication is for major depressive disorder. We plan to do an IND filing first quarter of next year. We have a couple of manufacturing patents that really, very importantly, eliminate controlled substance regulatory controls, and we also have method of use patent. I'll give you a little more detail on this without really getting into too much of the nitty-gritty, but the importance of this cannot be underestimated. The second drug is TD-010. This is for benzodiazepine dependency. Again, we plan to file the IND in first quarter of next year. We have a IP, a method of use patent pending. On the antiviral side, we have an inhalation format of interferon alpha-2b, a very potent antiviral drug for early stage COVID-19 infection. And we IND filing sometime later this year, beginning of next year. And we have a composition and formulation patent pending. The common thing between these three is that none of them are really new drugs. We don't need, this is not something that, your typical development stage, you will have a drug failing in safety or toxicity or things like that. These drugs in various formats have been around for years and decades. So this is a very, very efficient, what we think lower risk approach to developing some much needed treatments for large unmet need markets. So a little detail about our non-hallucinogenic LSD, 2-bromo-LSD. This slide might look too sciencey, but it's really not. It's just the purpose of this to show how close these two compounds are. Just addition of bromine to the LSD. It's not a controlled substance. We've checked with regulatory agencies. 2-bromo-LSD or TD-0148A is not a controlled substance, but because currently it's synthesized from LSD, it goes through a whole bunch of restrictions and things if you wanted to actually make it, handle it, distribute it, and administer it. So this was originally synthesized with Albert Hofmann, the guy who invented LSD in Switzerland, and it's non-hallucinogenic. It's been shown in human trials to not cause hallucination. And it's shown to be effective in cluster headaches in a study in 2010. Our proprietary manufacturing process, it allows us to manufacture this product using no controlled substance or intermediate or residuals. So there is no residual LSD created, and the final product is totally free of controlled substance regulation. As you can imagine, if you wanted to conduct a trial and store intermediates or manufacture this product, you would need a lot of different permits to conduct this. We are not subject to that. So this slide really just summarizes what I just mentioned and the advantage of this, because right now there's a lot of talk about psychedelics. Many different groups are working on different kinds of psychedelics. And the biggest issue with psychedelics is hallucination, and that requires monitoring. That requires you to go into a clinic and be, in special clinics and used with trained therapists. I've had first-hand account of people saying, I used this treatment once, hallucination was okay experience. The second one I went, it was awful. So, we don't really know how to control hallucination. So that side effect is not trivial. And the second thing is that most of these substances are strictly controlled right now for manufacturing, distribution, and eventual patient access. These two issues are, they create, they make use of psychedelics impractical. You make the wide, if you want to treat millions and millions of patients, restrictions, high cost, at a lot of additional costs. So in the table below, you'll see the advantage of what we have under development. Our TD-0148A is not a scheduled drug. It's multiple. It's had formal human studies. It's not hallucinogenic. It doesn't use any list one controlled precursors. It doesn't, contravene UN Convention of Illicit Drug. But most important to us in terms of a pharmacoeconomic approach, that you can actually, get out there and have a commercially viable drug. It's patient self-administered, that you can, instead of having to go to a clinic and be monitored for 10 hours, You can get it at your friendly neighborhood Walgreens, Duane Reade, and other places as a prescription, and administer it at home with low regulatory hurdles. So we're quite excited about this. We think this would be a game changer in the world of treating mental health. So our IP is around synthesis for manufacturing this product, not using anything that's restricted or regulated. And we also have a method of use, patent pending, for treatment of major depressive disorder, treatment-resistant depression, and migraines, PTSD, and other neuropsychiatric disorders. Market opportunity, this is ever expanding right now. We all know that mental disorder and depression and other things are becoming more and more into the mainstream. People are talking about them. They're not shy about seeking treatment, from celebrities to politicians to others. They are talking about it, and more the need for mental health. We think that the next pandemic is a mental health pandemic that would need treatment globally. So global depression market reached in 2019 at $12 billion, a little over $12 billion. And according to World Health Organization, this causes disability, prevents almost 265 million people across the globe. And this is, again, that's our point. If you want to treat millions and millions of different people, million people for just depression, opening clinics and monitoring and having therapists is just not practical. It's practical for a very small number of patients, but it doesn't really open the floodgate to be able to treat millions and millions of people. And this market is really projected to reach $25 billion by 2030, and increase in anxiety, fear. COVID really exacerbated this. We were all isolating for more than a year, so that has also caused additional depression in people. So our development plan right now, our team is working on generating a multiple set of data, preclinical data, for a filing in the first quarter of next year with the FDA. We're all about FDA. We're not in recreational or supplement or anything. This is all about a fully developed package that can be put before the FDA and for eventual approval as a prescription drug in patients. So that would be followed by a phase 1 study in the first quarter of next year, and then shortly after that, a phase 2, again, initially in major depressive disorder. The second compound, dihydroquinocural, this is, has been around for many, many years. It's used in traditional Chinese medicine for centuries. There are several animal studies that shown that this is that has anti-anxiety effect, and it's extract from magnolia bark and is sold currently as a nutraceutical. So our proprietary formulation shown, this has been shown that it's not addictive like benzodiazepines, and the reports show that drug rehabs, these are anecdotal, have very often used this and shown it to be treating anxiety and effective treatment for benzodiazepine dependency. So our formulation is patented to overcome poor bioavailability. We also have a method of use patent covering anxiety, benzodiazepine dependency, and insomnia. We think this drug is actually quite. It has a faster pace for development, and again, just like the first compound, it's been around for a long time, and we think it's one of the de-risked assets, if you will, development. Now, the market opportunity, benzodiazepine markets are valued at 3.4 billion in 2019 and projected to reach 4 billion. Benzodiazepines are legally manufactured, but they're very they're very addictive. So we think that for us to develop this for especially initial indication for benzodiazepine users is quite a good and big opportunity for us. So this is our timeline for development, very similar to TD-0148A. We project to file our IND first quarter of next year, and then we will do a phase 1/2 in patients starting Q1 2022. I'm going to discuss a little bit on our antiviral drug AP003 interferon alpha 2B. This drug, again, as we know, as you've seen last year, COVID really changed the whole world in terms of pandemic and causing economic damage and a lot of other things. But we think there's a big market opportunity for development of an effective treatment such as the one we're proposing here, AP003. There is evidence that interferon alpha 2B works against COVID-19. This inhalation format of interferon alpha 2B was used in China early 2020 in Wuhan. And the researchers who conducted studies on our team right now, Dr. Eleanor Fish and some of our colleagues, and we are developing this for early to treat patients with early COVID. So within the first 10 days of testing positive or having been diagnosed or symptoms, this drug was shown to be very effective. It's delivered directly into the lungs, and it prevented hospitalization and so on. So positive clinical trials will show that AP003 is also, for other initial treatment of COVID, but we think it's, as we press released recently, this formulation that we've developed is also effective against some of the variants of COVID-19. And we also think a lower dose of that could be used for prophylaxis and prevention. So this is in the outset of pandemics. Even if you're not infected, having this drug especially for frontline healthcare workers, military, police, schools, to protect those people from an infection. Now, one of the important things I need to bring up here is that interferons are very, very complicated, complex molecules. So while these other, vaccines and drugs are very effective for certain strain of a virus, these viruses and pathogens are quite smart in developing resistance, but they cannot develop resistance against interferon. So this is one of the advantages of having a drug such as ours for the treatment of these kinds of infections. We have patent pending application that covers composition, formulation, and treatment. Our composition is very unique. We have a patent on developing manufacturing interferon that is totally isoform free. This was developed with collaboration with National Research Council of Canada, and it's a cloning form that allows us to create the only isoform free interferon that we know, so we're completely pure. We also have, for formulation, we have improved this formulation adapted it for inhalation delivery. And also our patent covers patent pending for the potential of treatment and prevention of infections of COVID and other respiratory viral infections and their variants. So the development of this formulation has already been tested in a type of this formulation in a couple of studies, one in Wuhan and in China, and we plan to project to do an IND filing later this year, and with a phase 2 trial in the United States in early 2022. Our group, as mentioned before, we have a highly experienced big pharma and public company management, supported by a whole host of advisors and experts in this group, in the fields, their respective fields, both on the mental health and in the antiviral sector. Again, there are no rookies in our team. We're all more than 20, 25 years experience in this field. Our comps is quite looking. We have separated into two different segments. One are the groups that are in the antiviral, anti-COVID sector, and then the ones that are in the mental health. So if you can see by any stretch of imagination, I think we present a good value, and we want to get our message out there to close the gap on some of these valuations that we see. So this is the end of the presentation, and I'll open the floor for questions and any kind of comment that the audience might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmad. All right. So why are companies like BetterLife still working on COVID treatment when there are already effective vaccines approved currently?
Well, that's a good question. I think, as we have seen, we have a lot of experience in this field, in the antiviral, and we know that vaccinations don't necessarily cover everybody, and not everyone is willing to take a vaccine. And even now, after this Herculean effort, global effort, only 12% of the planet has been vaccinated against COVID. And we also know that COVID and other viruses they mutate. They have variants that the vaccine might not be as effective on it. So we envision that just like HIV, you're going to need a treatment, a cocktail of treatments, mix of treatments such as ours with others, that hopefully in a year or two, no one dies of COVID or its variants infection. So, and there are examples of, for example, HPV virus. It's had a very effective vaccine for the last 15 years. But last year, there were 5.5 million new cases reported in the United States. So it's not like vaccinations cover. While we want everybody to get vaccinated, it's not one of those situations that you can really say we will cover everybody. So our numbers, our valuation, our metrics, the way we run our financial models, and the way we come up with projections is really based on treating a certain population that, on best of our estimate, are not going to be covered by vaccination. And this is in the hundreds of thousands. We're not here to, just like vaccines, vaccinate, 5 billion people. We are here to treat a few 100,000, if you will. That's where the numbers fell. So if you look at the comps and the companies that are developing treatments right now, even after all of this, vaccination reports and the number of people have been vaccinated, you can see what their positions are and how they're holding. And the research reports show that these treatments are going to be needed, and they could create great value for shareholders and investors.
Can you draw any correlation between your COVID technology and your psychedelic technology, or will they remain completely independent?
In a way, they remain completely independent. The correlation is really about patient-friendly use and having drugs that have been around for a long time. So that's, as a biotech company, we look at the path of least resistance for developing something that's backed by science, a good science, and we can generate IP around it. So and these two, both COVID and the mental health drugs, have kind of they check those boxes. We have taken drugs that have been in man, so we don't have to test it for 6, 7, 8 years just to show that it's not toxic or it has efficacy. So in that those two are kind of, if you take out the names, you will see they kind of check some general boxes and that are have been in man. There will be patient-friendly use development and cost, and it will be affordable. So that's how we have approached these, and we think that that's a really cost-efficient, quickest way to develop these treatments that are just much needed right now.
Have you been approached by any majors in the space for a joint venture or acquisition?
Previously, we were in touch with a couple of groups for the antiviral section, and we continue to explore that. I think antivirals, again, once there's a little further development, we will need a strategic partner. And again, we've done M&A with large pharma. Our team is very, very familiar with how you construct that and what is the right time to approach and do that. So at this time, we're not ready to disclose any specific names, but yeah, we're very actively looking into that.
Are you capitalized enough to get you to cash flow? And if not, how do you plan on raising money going forward?
Very good question. Just last couple of months ago, we raised around $9 million Canadian. We are funded to carry out the plans that I showed you in our presentation. And as you see, this is all about generating data and showing positive results, and the cost of capital goes down once you do that. You don't want to capitalize the entire program from the outset. If it's not going to work, why would you want to raise all the money at the lowest cost? So we believe that now we are well funded to carry out the plans that I showed you, and I think it will be, at the right time. We will start looking at either through a partnership or capital markets to fund this for the next stages.
Last question, Ahmad. Who are the largest players in the psychedelic space, and how is your technology different?
Well, the largest players are, Compass, MindMed, Philtrip, Cybin. These companies are, very large in terms of market cap and programs. Our differentiation is really we are developing drugs that can be administered and used at home, so you don't need to go to a clinic. I think the cost difference, the number of patients you can treat, that's how we're differentiated from them. We're not interested in opening clinics or having another, I've seen in business plans 90 clinics open in 2 years or 3 years. So the differentiation is, while they're doing great work in advancing actual psychedelics and treatments in those, our plan is to create non-hallucinogenic, so that those major issues that I mentioned to you that are problems with making a practical psychedelic treatment, we are not facing that. We don't need any laws to be changed. So we're differentiated in terms of a strictly non-controlled, patient-friendly outpatient treatment, so that you don't need to be in a clinic hallucinating somewhere and being monitored to treat your depression or anxiety or other disorders.
Well, thank you, Ahmad. We do have a few more questions, but we're out of time. So we're going to send you those questions so you can answer them personally. But really great presentation. And we thank you so much for joining us on our conference today.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Remember, as we transition to the next presenter, you're going to see a black screen, but stay with us because we're coming right back.